Notifications just pop. Oh, they thought we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are live, and I am on fire with my boy Chris Gronkowski. Listen, right now, you want to make sure that you stay to the end because we have a very special announcement that we are teaming up to combat suicide. Research says that in 2018, 48,000 Americans lost their lives due to suicide. And we don't want that to happen on our watch. So we're doing everything we can to create awareness, to let people know that they're not alone. And we're going to talk about something special and how you can join us in this fight against mental illness, mental health, and suicide to end suicide in our nation and our world. So stay tuned to the very end. I want to welcome you to the Second Chance Live series. I'm your host, Darryll Stinson. Remember, Second Chances comes from my story of when I finally said yes to my faith and my future in the psychiatric unit. I had transitioned out of sports. I was down out on my luck. I had people who left me and abandoned me. And because I said yes to my faith and my future in the psychiatric unit, my whole life changed. And I literally feel like I am living a second chance. I am literally living a life that I tried to end. And I'm so grateful that you are tuning in for this series because we're bringing some powerhouses. We've got athletes, we've got coaches, we've got mental health experts. We've got, oh man, I can't wait till you talk to some of these mindset people. They're going to blow your minds. So I want to reserve this time for Chris, but right now is your opportunity to help us spread awareness. Go ahead and share this. You can start a watch party, drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I see some of you already dropping comments. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're tuning in from. We're streaming on like 6 different platforms. But yeah, host a watch party so that you can spread this to others and it helps us get the word out there. Okay, so let me introduce my boys. For those of you who are not aware, Chris. What's up, man? You doing all right?
Oh, yeah. You know it.
Like, stop talking. Let me go, boy. Let me lose. Chris Gronkowski first made a career for himself as a professional football player. He joined the NFL in 2010 after being signed by the Dallas Cowboys. We forgive him for that. As a fullback. During his years in the NFL, Gronkowski also played for the Indianapolis Colts. Actually love that because my guy Tony Dungy from my hometown's from there. And Denver Broncos. He gets a pass for that one. In 2016, he decided to put his entrepreneurial skills to the test when he set out to create a protein shaker bottle that would alleviate many of the issues he and other avid athletes experience. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my guy, Chris Gronkowski. What's up, man? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm always ready.
Hey, man.
Good, man.
Hey, man, let's hop right in, man. Like, tell them a little bit about like your career, your transition, and what you're doing with the Ice Shaker brand.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, for me, man, I'll kind of tell the story a little bit. The middle of the 5 Gronkowski brothers, 4 of us played in the NFL. I was the shortest, the smallest, the fattest, the slowest, all that, man. And I never thought I'd make it to the level, So I was all about going to school, getting the best grades I could, and then was kind of planning for life after college. I thought I was going to be a CPA at that time, which I'm really glad I'm not because I love doing everything but sitting at a desk. But I got this chance. I got the one chance to go undrafted, and I signed with the Cowboys, an undrafted free agent, and my back was against the wall. I had this insane amount of motivation because my whole entire family had been drafted before me. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't that one guy that everyone was like, hey, man, what happened to you? How come your whole family made it and you didn't? So when you get that kind of motivation and that kind of pressure behind you, I swear you could do anything, man. So I had one goal, one mission, and I did everything I could that summer to make the team. And, there hadn't been an undrafted free agent that made the Dallas Cowboys roster in over 10 years, and I was on the roster on day one. So
wow,
it's great for me. I ended up playing 3 years, getting pension, retirement, all that, everything I needed from the NFL, which I never thought I'd get. And then I took that money and I put it into a business. Mm-hmm. I was able to grow that and, actually be more successful in the business world than I was in the NFL. So it's been good, man. So went into something that I love doing, which is working out and staying active and healthy. And this is what this bottle allowed me to do, was actually to live a lifestyle while working at the same time, man. So it's been amazing for me.
Man, that's phenomenal, man. One of the things that we talked about with, I don't know if you know Buddy, but he's a former Pro Bowler. I had him on yesterday, and we were talking about this concept that when athletes transition, like they're at a peak state and they're at a top of their careers, but then they go into something new and it's like starting from scratch. Did you feel like that's where you were when you started to go in the entrepreneur route, or were you kind of already prepared to make that pivot?
So for me, man, I never thought I would play long. So I was always kind of like, hey, in the back of my mind, I got to be ready for the next thing. Did I think it was going to be entrepreneurship? No. I had an accounting degree and I thought I was going to do taxes for NFL players was kind of my goal.
Yeah.
So I saw this great opportunity for it because guys, it's the first time guys have a job and you also pay in every state that you play in. So it's expensive and no one knows what they're doing. Some guys don't even file. I'm sitting there like, man, there's a great opportunity to work for a couple of months a year, make some good money. But ended up going this other route instead. And man, I was not prepared at all. I was almost glad I wasn't, because if I knew how much work it would take, I might have actually shied away from it and went a different route. So at the beginning, you're so motivated. You're so excited, man. And you don't know what you don't know. So you dive all in and you make a ton of mistakes on the way, but you end up figuring it out.
Yeah, man. And it's so true. What do you think has like made you successful both as an athlete and as an entrepreneur?
Man, I think it's just that hard work mentality, like actually doing the work. There's so many people today that they want to take the easy route out, right? And nothing great is ever easy. You have to put that work in. You have to put it in, day out. That's what makes you successful on the field. So I don't know why people think that it's any different for business. It's that same way. You have to grind. You have to figure it out. You have to continuously get better every day, because if you don't, your competitors are going to, and they're going to catch up to you and they're going to beat you. And so every day is, man, you have to grind and you have to just keep working hard to get to that next level.
Yeah. I love it, man. Do you think that it was this competitiveness that you have being, a part of a bunch of rough and tough boys growing up that has really gave you like an advantage in life? What do you think? Do you think that has attributed to your work ethic at all?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You had to beat your brother in everything that you did, man. I mean, we compete in backyard baseball. We played like little mini stakes in the basement. We sit down to eat and we see who could eat more and who could eat faster. And it was just, everything became this massive competition. But I think the one thing that we also learned, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but our parents made us earn everything that we had. When we were young, my parents had nothing. My dad had $50 when he met my mom. He worked 6 years, 2 jobs, starting his own business. And, if we wanted something, great, figure out a way to get it. So we had jobs early. The old paper route, we were umpires. Worked for my dad when I was 15, installing fitness equipment. And, if we wanted to go to college, it was the same way. Great. We love you to go to college. You're going to pay for it, or you're going to find a way to get a scholarship. So that's kind of how everything was. Nothing was ever handed to us. And I think that whole mindset just carries with you through the rest of your life as well.
Yeah. I love it, man. One of the things that I love about like my life that I have the privilege to do is I talk to people who are like, have big, huge platforms, highly successful. But then, I work with people who are like recovering addicts, just trying to get their lives back together. And they're starting from like 8 years behind. And I know that some people can relate to the success habits, but some people can only relate to our failures and our mistakes more than our successes. Share with us maybe one of your major failures or mistakes that you made and what you learned from it and how you overcame it.
Man, there's a lot of failures along the way, especially in business. Just one of the very first, the first shipment we got, and a huge learning lesson that I got right from day one was quality control. I didn't know what I was doing. We just expected that the product would come in. We had 20 prototypes made. We finally picked out the last one and said, hey, it's good to go. Product came in, and out of, I think it was 10,000 bottles, half of them leaked. And it was just a disaster. And I had to individually change out every single lid. It took months to do it. And, it was this huge learning, process for me. It was a huge mistake. It cost a ton of money. It cost a ton of time. If I wasn't super passionate about the business, I probably would have just gave up on it. But what it did was it just taught me that I have to double check everybody's work. I have to bring in outside sources as well. And that's also, I mean, that's with everything in life, man. You have to put that, that extra work in to make sure that it's done the right way the first time.
Yeah, yeah. What would your advice be to startup entrepreneurs or even people that are pivoting into entrepreneurship right now because of COVID and they're like, man, I'm going to start an at-home business? What would your advice be to them to help them be successful?
For me, there's a couple things that I really thought were big for me. First, I always started it as a side hustle. Like I was never like, hey, let's just jump all in. Like, let's get a bunch of investors. Like, first start as a side hustle, man. Prove the concept first. Get some sales. Make sure people actually want it, because you're going to think it's the best idea ever because it's your idea. So first off, make sure other people think it's a great idea too, and that there's actually a market for it. And then number two is, man, you better be super, super passionate about what you want to do. If it's something that you don't absolutely love, you're going to give up on it. Kind of like, what happened to me. The first shipment came in, it was all trash. And if I didn't love it and I didn't absolutely have this ridiculous passion for what I wanted to do, I would have just said, man, I don't need this. And I didn't need it at all. I was doing it because I loved it. So make sure you're super passionate about it as well, because it's going to be an up and down roller coaster. And at some point you're going to give up before you're successful if you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm gonna pause for a quick commercial here. I'm gonna set you up so you can think, give you a little time to think. But I want to let people know, like, just a funny, cool Gronk story, right? Like whether it's growing up, whether it's something recent, like tell us a Gronk story. While he's thinking about that and preparing, I just want to encourage you guys, go ahead and leave comments if you have specific questions. We're available for you. Like you've got us for the next 15 minutes or so. So go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know if you've got a question. We'll answer all your questions. This is your time to share this information. We want to really help people thrive during this time. So a lot of people are getting hit hard with COVID, and some people are thriving. But for those that are struggling, just know that they're not alone, and that we're here serving them, sharing our knowledge, our expertise, what we learned as athletes, what Chris has learned as a successful entrepreneur, and from people who he's connected himself with. So we're available to you. Drop your comments, your questions. We'll be happy. Also, remember, he has an amazing ice shaker brand. Go check it out. Visit his website. You see it scrolling there across the bottom of the screen. We'll drop the URL in all the comments and everywhere that you're watching. Make sure that you support what he's doing, because physical fitness is so important. And I'll make sure that I'll let him know specifically to talk a little bit about what makes the Ice Shaker brand unique and why you guys should go support that product. So, all right, man, what's the cool Gronk story?
Oh man. All right. Let's do this. A couple, man. I didn't know which one I wanted to pick, how crazy I wanted to get. Let's go. You want like a fighting, like one of the best fights we had, or?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I'll do that one, man. That was a good one. So, growing up, you got 5 boys, right? We had maybe 2 babysitters that lasted for more than like a month. And the second one, she was pretty good. She probably lasted the longest, and she lived right across the street from us too. And so this is how she this was her last hurrah for her. But the worst part about once we lost her, though, was my oldest brother, Gordy, became the babysitter. And it just became just out of control. And he used to throw parties and everything. But I'll get back to the story. So, every time my parents would go out, they'd go to like a Sabres game or whatever. My dad has a business. He had to bring out clients. And the second they went out, we knew we had like this hour and a half period, right, at least, where it was just like mayhem, man. It was all out brawls. We fight over whatever we wanted to fight over. And the babysitter really couldn't stop us because we were savages, man. And so we had this huge brawl going. It was a 3-way brawl. So my brother Dan, who's 2 years older than me, and then Rob, who's 2 years younger. And we have this huge battle going. And the babysitter tries to break it up. And Rob takes a fork and tries to throw it at Dan. And the babysitter is trying to break it up. And she has her hand up and it gets stuck in her hand.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was it was just all mayhem. Rob's face was bleeding because he got hit in the face. He was blowing it up, like spitting up on the ceiling. There was all his blood on the ceiling. And that was the last time we ever had a babysitter, man. And that was kind of like the day-to-day in our house the second our parents left. It was a lot of action, man. A lot of action going down at the house.
So here's the real question. Who's the toughest, baddest Gronk?
Man, I'll tell you what, and I didn't even say this. Rob called it out and said that, I won the most fights, man. So growing up, being shorter and being heavier is actually a huge advantage. So, man, I was like this little short fat kid. My dad played lineman in college, right? So he's offensive lineman, offensive guard, and he was like, I finally got my lineman. And he was all proud of it. And every time you'd say it, I'm like, no, like I don't want to be your lineman. And so growing up, that was good, but
Yeah.
it definitely helped with the brawls, man. So I could hold my own with the fighting.
Yeah, yeah. So if we surveyed your brothers, you're telling me they're gonna call you the toughest.
Man, I mean, so the most fights won, it was probably me. The toughest, like the kid just loved punishment, man. So he was the only one, like you'd fight your older brother, right? The one that was 2 years older. We're all about 2 years apart. He was the only one that would jump me and then go after Dan, who was 4 years older than him. And Dan was a monster too. Dan was like 6'6" in high school. Like he was a beast. And he would jump me, go to Dan, and Dan would just beat him down, man. And he'd just keep coming back for more. So
yeah,
he was tough, man. He was tough, and he never backed down. And I actually threw him into the bathtub once, and he was knocked out for probably a good 10 seconds, and I thought it was over for the night. And within 30 minutes, he was back, and we were brawling again. So
oh my god,
it was crazy, man. It was mayhem.
Oh my god, dude.
I don't know how my parents did it. And,
yeah. So, man, I didn't have brothers growing up, but I definitely had a lot of wrestling matches. I used to have this friend named Sean. We used to wrestle in the front yard, and he had this stepdad. Well, it's kind of like, his mom's boyfriend or whatever, and he played in the NFL. The guy was a running back. His name's Tyree Dye, and he had these massive hands, and he would take his hands on our ears and he would just like rub them. And like, it was the most brutal pain you ever experienced with two hands, like just rubbing your ear. God bless your parents. Just rubbing your ears. Yeah. So
like an Indian brush bird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly, man. I tell you what, man. So you think people can't inflict pain with two hands and just rubbing your head? It hurt, man. So anyways, man, let's talk about the Ice Shaker brand. How'd you come up with the concept? Talk about the whole Shark Tank journey and let people into that story.
Yeah, for sure, man. So when I was done playing, I was still going to the gym, usually once or twice a day. And by the time I got there, it was hot in Texas. I'm in Texas now. And, my bottle would be sweating everywhere. The water would be warm. It smelled terrible when I went to drink it. So, just sitting there and thinking like an entrepreneur, I'm sitting there like, man, there's just got to be a better way. There's got to be something better on the market. And went home that day, went on, Amazon, looked for it, and there's just nothing out there. So at that point, it was like, hey, I'm super passionate about this. The shaker bottle hasn't changed in years. All the ones in my cabinet, are broken or smell terrible and aren't insulated. And I had like 20 of them, right? Everyone has like 1 million of them because you get them free. And at that point, I was like, man, I just want to make one bottle that I could use all day, every day, no matter where I went. Bring it to work, bring it to the gym, bring it to the pool, bring it on the airplane. And that was the goal, man. So I set out on this journey, that I thought would be like, super easy. And I thought everyone else would love the product as well. And it would just be like, hey, check out this amazing cup. But 20 prototypes later, a bunch of mistakes, the manufacturing mistakes. And I was sitting there and just grinded, man. I was able to get about $25,000 in sales in the first 3 months just by going to shows and getting on Amazon and trying to figure out the SEO system, all stuff that I never did before, but I was just figuring it out on my own. And at that point, I had an email from 2012, man, when I was with the Denver Broncos at the time. And this email came in from my agent just saying, hey, ABC Shark Tank is looking for any players, current or former, that would like to come on the show. And so at that point, I had nothing. I saved the email, and it was about 4 to 5 years later now. I emailed it back thinking like someone was actually going to answer, right? And I did get an answer, and the girl was like, hey, I don't work here anymore. But let me and so lucky enough, man, she connected to me to the girl that took her spot over, and they got back to me right away and just asked for a video submission. So threw together this crazy video, sent it over, and they were like, hey, yeah, we love it. And that started the whole process. Had to do a bunch of paperwork and backgrounds and background checks and stuff like that. And I was able to get on the show. And once I got on the show, man, it was just, it was that proof of concept that I needed. We ended up getting offers from all 5 Sharks, investments from Mark Cuban and Alex Rodriguez, and the product just exploded at that point. So we went from 80,000 in sales for that first 6 months before we got on Shark Tank to over 3 million in the next 12 months after Shark Tank. So it was real, man. It's real. The money's real. The investment's real. Exposure's real. And the work is real afterwards as well. You're not not chilling in a house like this or on a beach or something like that. Which this is a fake background, by the way. But
you didn't have to tell them that, man. We was like,
yeah,
whoa, we're in
no,
your crib right now. You
hey,
know?
I can't pretend. But the work just exploded as well. So it became, this full-time job overnight. It was literally a side hustle that I was doing out of the top of my, the upstairs in my house. That turned into, hey, we need a warehouse now. We need the staff. We need everything pretty much overnight. So that's when the grind really started.
Man, that's fascinating to me. There's two questions I want to ask about that we didn't cover in my podcast. By the way, guys, you'll get to hear part 2 of this on the podcast, and I'm on his too, so you get to hear me talk crazy stuff about mental health. But I want to know, like, what are some things that you've learned from some of these business experts that maybe you didn't know starting out?
So from like Mark Cuban?
Yeah, or anyone really.
Yeah. First off, the biggest thing that I learned was networking. I think it's been huge, and it's been huge with Mark as well. They have I think it's over 60 or 70 different companies in the Mark Cuban portfolio. When I first started off, man, as an athlete, I was so competitive, and I just thought, man, like I could do anything myself, right? Like, I don't need anybody's help. And you realize really quickly that once you start networking, all you're doing, you're helping each other out. You're building this network. The more people the more it's going to help you. So networking became huge. I started joining groups like Facebook groups and stuff like that, just to get out there, young entrepreneurship groups, and then also just connecting through other companies in the Mark Cuban portfolios. And once I did that, it was just this great forum for advice. If I needed help with something specific, I'd reach out to them and just say, hey, we're thinking about doing SMS or email marketing or, Facebook ads, whatever it is. Like, how's your experience been? And it's just a great way to get an unbiased opinion about something you're not sure about. So networking has been absolutely huge for us. And that's something that I was just never a networking guy before this.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that when they hear networking, they kind of get like a sour taste because they think it's like, just go pass your business cards out to as many people as possible, do awkward icebreakers, like things like that. What do you think is some good tips for people to really be great at networking?
Yeah, I looked at it the same way as you. I almost looked at it as like, I could be working instead of chilling and, having drinks, right?
Yeah.
But, the tips is really, once you get those connections, follow up on them, man. Like, I think that was one of the mistakes I was making as well. Like, I do these shows and I make absolutely great connections. And after that, I go home with, a stack of 40 business cards, and I wouldn't even really follow up with them, or I'd shoot them one email and people get busy. And sometimes people don't remember you, and, you don't get a response back immediately. And then that was it. And then you're sitting there like a year later, like, man, I remember that company, they're killing it. And, I met that guy a year ago, and, and you wasted this whole year and this whole opportunity to work with them. So definitely follow up and, keep that connection alive, because you already made that connection. Now just keep it going.
Yeah. You mentioned something that I think is hard for some to grasp, but it's just this explosion of growth that you get when you go on national television and you get endorsed by 5 Sharks. And it seems like life is set from then, right? Like you've made it, you don't have to, you can just sit back on the couch and like let business money just fall out of the sky. But that's not the reality. And you touched on that, but talk a little bit about that initial burst. And I know we covered a little bit of this on our podcast, but it was interesting to me to hear you talk about, like, once that wave kind of started to die down, like talk about that and how were you able to manage that and still, continue to move forward as a company?
Yeah. So the burst is amazing, man. It really is. And like that first week is just sales. And what's great about it is it's also sales that you're not paying any marketing dollars towards. So I mean, it's just great margin. It's a great company builder. So early on in business, that was amazing. With Hulu and recording and everything else that goes on, and then all the articles written about it, it really ends up being almost like a month-long process now with Shark Tank, where you kind of just, you get this great, bump in sales. So after that, we were lucky because it went right into the holiday season. We were October, end of October, which went right into, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, stuff like that, and then right into Christmas. So we had this initial wave, and then we did pretty well in January too because of New Year's resolution. But after that, once February hit, everything just died off, and that's when business became real. That's when we actually had to figure out, how to actually run a business because the free advertising wasn't coming in anymore. And so that was the first time I actually had to sit down and say, hey, what do we got to do to get out there? How do we get in front of more people? And I had to start figuring out, Facebook ads or Instagram or, Google, or, what shows do we want to set up and how else do we get in front of people? And that's when it becomes real, man. That's when that wave completely stops and you got to keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a few questions I want to address before we get into this mental health challenge that we're doing and we want people to be a part of. And again, want to remind you guys that it's a great time to share. We still got some amazing advice, and if you want your questions answered, now's your time. Don't be shy. But we got a couple that have come in, and I want to address it. I think Brian asked, "How do you reach out to mentors you admire to work with them?"
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I did this, man, myself, actually, and it worked. One thing I did was I went through their content, man. So I went on and I listened to their podcast, and then I shared their knowledge that they shared. I kind of summarized it and, said the parts that I liked, what I didn't, and I post it on social, and I tag them in it. And I just say, thank you so much for this content. I found it very valuable. It actually came to the point where I used a lot of the content myself, and it actually helped me a lot. And I kind of told that story, and that's when I got the connection and got a response back. So that is how I've connected in the past, by showing, the person I was trying to reach out to that I appreciated what they were doing and that I was actually using it and that it was valuable to me.
Yeah, man, that's huge because I see a lot of people because, I watch like a lot of, content contributors and thought leaders and stuff like that. And I see people try to like make these pitches when they're supposed to like ask questions. Right. And so whether it's like Gary V, like doing a line or David or like whoever, like that can really help like accelerate their process. And they're supposed to like ask a business question. They try to do a pitch. A lot of times they just, all they say is like, hey, I've been enamored by you. I've been a huge fan of yours. Can you give me an opportunity? But what I want everyone to catch what you're saying is like, you weren't just a fan of these folks, but you actually put their content and their strategies into action and showed them and thanked them for true results that you were getting as a result of their teaching, which just helps you stand out, right? Because everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm enamored by you, like I'm so thankful, but everybody is actually implementing. And from what I learned from people who have huge platforms, a lot of them, like, they're really generous and they want to make an impact and they want people to implement the things that they teach, but people will just get caught up in the platforms and the TV specials and the brand that they don't even implement the basics, right? Like I was interviewing David the other day and I'm kind of teasing it. He was on our podcast. It'll come out. And I was asking him, like, he was talking about the power of gratitude, right? And how important it is. And I was like, okay, man, that there's going to be people that are watching this that are like, okay, it's easy for you to say you've got Ferraris, you've got cars, you've got TV specials, you got one of the best sales pitch shows on national television. Like, it's easy for you to say gratitude. and he mentioned a bunch of other humility, asking for forgiveness, those type of values. And then I said, what would you say to that person who's like easy for you to say? And excuse my French, but David goes, how do you think I got here, MFer? He's like, it's the very thing that got me here is gratitude, humility. He said he started out from, if you hear a story, like he didn't grow up in wealth. And so, man, what you're saying is so true. And I hope that people catch some of this stuff because this is what helps you set yourself apart. Another question that came is, how do you steward the first big influx of money when you're not wealthy and you still have bills, but you need to invest to keep the business alive?
Man, it's tough because when you get that money, you want it, right? You want to spend it. And I've been lucky and I haven't really had to really struggle that much with that because, I took my NFL money, which I saved up and I actually used that to start my wife's first business. And that did really well. And we then used her money to start my business. But with iShaker, even with Shark Tank, with all that going on, it was over 2.5 years before I ever got a penny back from it. So I know a lot of people looked at the sales, and like I said, we did 3 million in the next 12 months after Shark Tank. I didn't touch any of that. All that money went back into the business. So my advice is to just grind and take as little as possible as you can until you get it going. I know that's hard because you see the money coming in. You're like, hey, I'd love to spend that. I'd love to use that. I have so many other uses for it. But if you want to grow and you want to grow fast, you got to keep investing back into the company or you're going to stall out. So for me, 2.5 years in, we continue to grow. We went from 1 bottle to over 100 different bottles. And that was all me as well, just saying, hey, I'm not going to take anything out. I'm going to do everything I can to continue this growth. And if that means I'm not going to get paid, if that means I'm not going to get a dividend, any of that for over 2.5 years. And on top of that, I was also $250,000 of my own money into it as well. I just had to grind it out. So live as poor as you can is my advice, and you'll be paid more in the future. That's what's going to end up happening. If you want to grow faster and get there faster, and take little now, and you'll be rewarded a lot more in the future.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Last question I see coming in is, what resources are you learning from? What people are you following? Who is helping you grow and speak into your life, and how can people learn from them as well? Yeah,
for sure. One of the people that I was actually talking about before and that I learned from a lot, and I actually got him on my podcast as well, was Andy Frisella. So he did an entire podcast called the MFCEO Project. He has a new one that's more about politics and stuff like that, but I really liked his last one called the MFCEO Project, because all it was about was, first off, taking control of your own life, but it was so much about business and bringing value to people. And it was over 300 episodes. I think I've listened to every single one of them. And he was the guy that I reached out to and said, hey, I really appreciate everything you taught. I specifically mentioned certain podcasts that took us to a whole new level. We implemented what he said on it, and it really helped us. It increased our revenue in email marketing by over 30%. And when I reached out to him and I told him, that's when he reached back to me and said, how else can I help you? And that's how I ended up getting him on the podcast. So that's one person that I've learned a lot from in business. I also reached out to my dad. He's been in business for over 35 years selling fitness equipment. So he's an absolute amazing resource for me as well.
Love it, man. Love it. Great, man. I want to thank you for your time today. Let people know, how can they connect with you? And then we'll get into our mental health challenge. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We want to make sure that you stay tuned wherever you're watching this. If you're watching the replay, make sure you can, if you're on Facebook, you can still host a watch party. If you're watching on another platform, you can still share this with someone you love, someone you care about. Great information, learning from, a competitor, a successful business person, a great father as well. And so, and we didn't even get into some of that stuff, but share this information. And man, Chris, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, for sure, man. So this is my handle right here on pretty much everything. So Instagram, Twitter, man, I've been blowing up on TikTok, actually. If you're on TikTok, you probably see my face all over it.
You dancing?
Not dancing, man. Just it goes back to just bringing value to people, man.
Yeah.
I've been doing some really cool posts, a lot of it about the NFL, just kind of behind the scenes and what people don't know. And people find that super interesting. So it's exploded from that. And then check us out at iceshaker.com as well. And then Grokked Up, see Darryll and I on there talking.
And
yeah, man, everywhere. We have the YouTube channel now, youtube.com/the Gronks. So, man, if you're looking for me, you're going to find me. That's for sure.
Love it, man. Love it. All right, y'all. I'm going to try to keep it together because I had something, man. It was like I had something happen. So here's what happened, right? We're I don't know if it was we podcast swapped, right? I interviewed him, he interviewed me, and I can't remember which podcast we're on, but we just started talking. And mental health obviously is a part of my story, and physical fitness plays a key role in a person's mental health, right? I think you said on my podcast, you're like, it's really hard to be depressed while you're running.
Yeah, man.
and it's so true. And we just started trying to brainstorm of how can we use our platforms, our networks, our influence to really make a difference with it being Suicide Prevention Month. And so we are introducing this We Are One challenge. It's write one line, take one step, make one call. These are 3 components to help you live more physically healthy, mentally healthy, and relationally healthy, which are all key components that can help prevent suicide. So it's a 5-day mental health awareness campaign in support of Suicide Prevention Month. And here's how you can participate. Just head over to Instagram, look up the Ice Shaker brand, look up Second Chance Athletes, look up Right One Line, look up Athlete Network. These are our partners who are partnering together for this challenge. And when you see the post go live, I want you to share it and I want you to tag as many people as possible. And throughout this, you have to commit to 60 seconds each day that you are going to take one step towards bettering your physical fitness, take 60 seconds towards calling someone you love or texting someone you love, take 60 seconds towards journaling with, watch this, can y'all see this? This artesian leather journal that Right One Line produced for us. It's high quality because we believe that you deserve the best quality for your mental health, because your mental health should be in tip top shape. And I literally just broke my pen. And so you can head over to Instagram, follow us, share, do all that stuff, because we really want you to participate. And to incentivize you, they're giving away an Ice Shaker brand bottle with our logo on it, and when you guys see it, it's super dope, right? Like, so I was like, which color you want? We got a bunch of options. I was like, what's the most popular? He's like, actually, it's like this purple one that sparkles. And I'm like, it's super grill. And then I looked at it, I was like, man, this is dope.
Yeah, the mermaid.
The mermaid, man. It's super dope. And so we're giving away that. And then another one that's, the male version for the tough guys that feel like they can't wear pink or purple or whatever. And then we're giving away one of these artesian leather journals. And then we're going to give away an iPhone 11. So if you want to participate, all the instructions will be there on the Instagram post. Just stay tuned for that. It'll go live here soon. But over the next 5 days, we really want you to engage with us with this. Man, do you want to talk to the audience about why this is important for you guys and why you chose to partner with us as a brand?
Yeah, man, for sure. So we're all about helping as much as we can. We've done so many different things in aspects with our company, and we always want to help. So we've done a ton with the military as well. We've done stuff with nurses when COVID hit, and with mental health and fitness, kind of like you went to before, we think it goes hand in hand. I know that fitness is physical, but with that, man, every day I wake up and it's my stress relief. I get in the gym, I get that stress out, and I know what it, mental health wise, what it does for me. And so if we can push people towards fitness, we think that it's going to help the mental game so much more as well. And that's why we wanted to partner up with this and really just try to get people back on track, get back in the gym, get that frustration out. Because like you said, man, if you're mad, you can only punch a bag for so long. You can only run so far before all that frustration is finally out of you. And you're thinking normal again, you're level headed again, and you're ready to attack the day.
Yeah. I love it, man. And that's why we wanted to really make this simple. And one of the things I love about the Right One Line brand is when we try to get athletes and anyone who's not in a habit of really like taking inventory of their thought life, it's always this resistance because they don't want to journal or write a diary or something. And so the Right One Line is literally, you set a 60-second timer, you write one line, and it gets you going in the right direction. Same thing with take one step. Like, right, you might not go to the gym and work out for an hour, but you might just, do some sit-ups in your home. You might just, watch a YouTube video and go you might just hop on TikTok and dance. I don't know. Just take one step towards your physical fitness. Get your body moving because it shifts your energy levels and it changes the chemistry that's in your body. And then, of course, make one call, because there's a lot of people who are going through struggling with suicidal ideation who won't reach out for help, but they will respond if people are intentional. So just call, check in on the people that you love. It's personal to me because I, when we won the MAC championship, when we were ranked 23rd in the nation, when we were on national television playing football, when Dan Lefevre and Antonio Brown was getting all this recognition around us, like, I was externally successful, but I was internally failing. And no one could see my internal struggles because all they saw was my external success. And so don't assume that because you have strong-willed friends, high-producing leaders in your life, that they're not struggling. Reach out to them, tell them you love them, and participate in this challenge. Chris, I know we went a little bit over, man, but I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your generosity. Looking forward to all the good things we can do together, man. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
Man, no, I appreciate you having me on here, man. Good
Awesome.
stuff today. Thanks for everything you do.
Love it. Our next guest is Steven Stack. You see it on the screen, millionaire. He's going to talk about investing. He's going to talk about how you can be debt-free, how you can move forward during this time and not backwards. You don't save your way to wealth. You invest your way to wealth. So we're going to talk about that. That's our next guest. Stay tuned. We love you guys. Peace.